How often does this happen? Going after the same girl?
Not as often as you think.
We usually have different types.
So you're saying I should be flattered?
Aren't you everybody's type?
Come here.
Which one of us?
Hello, Mr. Buzz. How are you doing?
Very good. How are you, Alex?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. Excited to have a look at Challengers that everybody's talking about today, which is Zendaya's latest film, directed by Luca Guadagnino. One of his previous films, Bones and All, was pretty good. I think we reviewed that with Timothée Chalamet. But this one is set in the tennis world and is basically about three characters, which is Zendaya, which is a tennis prodigy. She's very good from an early age. And then two other tennis players that are promising, but not as good as her. And when she basically gets an injury early on in her career, that pretty much stops her, prevents her from performing to the level she wants. She marries one of her earlier, younger flings from high school, which she actually manages to train him to become a champion. And the film focuses on the later moment in her life when he's struggling to push himself all the way to the top. She helps him with that, but the other friend from childhood, Patrick, I believe is his name, turns up in their lives again just to stir things up and just to put the brakes on his trajectory going up. So that's the setup. It's a very. What did you think about the way the story plays out, Baz, across the film?
Yeah. So the way it pans out, it's as you mentioned, there's a lot of time shifts in the film. So one of them is the present day, which is this big standoff between the two chaps in the film that were high school friends.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's a lot of your main basis of the film, and then the other half is kind of like 13 years prior to that, when they're all, I guess, like 18, 19, just growing up, going through college and what have you. And that's done quite well, quite can I add. So like the costume design, the era that it was, and how youthful they all look, is done quite well, and you really do get to see the kind of chemistry between the two men, Donaldson and Patrick. And they had a good, it was a proper bromance, and then the Yoko Ono, being Zendaya with her beautiful looks, is a big distraction in their friendship. So that was kind of good. And then obviously you had the way the film looks as well. It was quite playful, the direction from the director to use certain camera angles, So at one point the camera was on the ball, at one point the camera was on a racket, and then they even did quite a few underneath shots of the tennis court, which looks like they're playing on glass, which was quite cool. I thought it was a little bit like, creative, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and also it's different, but it's creative. Yeah, it's different. But to be honest, all the film is pretty interesting the way it's structured. Like we talked about the time jumps, but you're actually watching a tennis match between two players right in the beginning of the film. That's how it starts, and it's obvious that there's something between them because they keep looking at the same person watching the game, which is Zendaya's character. And that we come back to this game throughout the whole film, and as we come back to this game, we understand why more and more why this game is so important, and what are the stakes for this game. So it's pretty good how it's played out like that.
And as you say, there's this, it's kind of this odd love triangle, So when Zendaya meets him in the beginning of the film, they both, fall in love with the way she looks and how she is and how successful she's going to have a path to success and what have you. Yeah. And then that's what makes the film. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a tale of two stories, really, because Donaldson in the film, who Zendaya actually ends up getting with and marrying, he's everything on paper is right sort of guy, but he hasn't got that spark, he hasn't got that, can he be the absolute 100% best champion in the world?
Which is what she wanted,
Patrick
basically.
Has.
Which is what she wanted.
Yeah, she wanted it, so she's kind of moulding Donaldson into what she wanted to be. But you know, he like just his personalities. He kind of wants to give up early, sort of thing. And Patrick knows this, and you know, he mentions this throughout the film, and especially towards the end of it, when that present day match. So it's kind of like, for her, it's like, you know, there's a guy who's really charismatic but has his downfalls, which is Patrick, and then there's a guy who's solid on paper and probably a good dad and good husband material and a good, you know, is worth staying in a relationship, but he just hasn't got that spark that really ignites her. Did you feel that coming across on the camera?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The acting there, it's, I mean, the acting is good all around, even from the beginning of the film, the early stages where they're just teenagers, you know, going around and going to college, and all they're trying to do is, these two boys are trying to find girls. That's their purpose in life.
I should go, or my dad comes looking for me. I'll see you at school, Art.
Wait, are you on Facebook?
What?
He's asking for your number. And so am I.
You both want my number?
Very much so, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not a homewrecker.
We don't live together.
It's an open relationship.
Also, Patrick has a
I
girlfriend.
do not. Hey, come hang out with us later. They put you up at the hotel in Flushing, right? We're in room 206.
Want me to come tuck you in?
No, we just keep talking. About tennis.
Good night.
We have beer.
Okay.
At the same time, later on, when, you know, in the later stages of their life, it's the acting just tends to shift, especially for Zendaya, as I felt like she does have a little bit of more seriousness and maturity in her acting too, for the parts where she's older. Now, when it comes to the acting for the other guys, that's also good. The guy that plays Patrick, I saw him as a bit more, almost like a good type of acting, because you can see the innocence in the child when he's young, and then the sort of, almost like you said, sleazy, interest-driven person that he is later on in the game, you know, in for his own skin, trying to get her back in bed with him and get her to coach him and all of that. So what did you thought about the acting of the three of them, Baz? Because it's all about the three of them, the whole film.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was actually quite on point. I think it's kind of funny that none of them did a bad job as such. I don't think anyone was fantastic either. But I also believe that the way the script was and the way the storyline kind of played out is like none of them really got the opportunity to be great in this film, and that would kind of be one of my first criticisms. Would be probably the script even, and the direction of the way the story played out. The story in of itself was a little bit odd, but yeah, as far as the acting goes, I don't really think you can fault Zendaya or the two lads really in this too much. I would agree with you that Patrick probably, out of the three of them, I think personally he had the most nuance with his role, wouldn't you say?
I want you to be my coach.
What?
Even if he wins the Open, completes his career Grand Slam, Art's still gonna retire as someone who's just really, really good. That's what you guys will have done together. But imagine if you could turn Patrick Zweig into a guy who wins a slam. You still have a season. You still have one good season, and I need you to bring it out of me. So, what do you think?
How fucking dare you? Jesus Christ. You want my best piece of advice for you? You want me to coach you? Okay, quit.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely out of the three. He's up there on the acting as we've seen. But to be honest, there's talk about this Zendaya's acting to be Oscar worthy. I don't really think that's the case. I still think as an actor she still has a bit to grow. She definitely has the potential. I know I loved her in Dune, and I'm pretty sure in the third part of Dune she's going to be even more important. But it just feels like in every single film she sort of has the same mannerisms as an actor instead of actually becoming somebody else. You still look at the screen and you say, yes, that's Zendaya. In every single film you see her, yes, that's Zendaya, instead of her just becoming the character, and you don't
Who was
see her anymore.
the lead? Yeah, who was the lead actress in Twilight? Because I think she got criticised for the say. Is it Kirsten Stewart?
Kristen Stewart, yeah.
Kristen Stewart.
That's a good.
Yeah, so I think it's a good example to give because I believe that she was or Keira Knightley even. Keira Knightley always played the period drama lady in the big manor sort of role every film, and I think with you, I hope that Zendaya doesn't fall into that kind of like one-dimensional sort of actress. You know, because that'd be a shame. But yeah, so can I just ask you, what did you make of the characters' motives in this film, and did you think they were relatable in any way, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I was definitely rooting for all three of them. So when you see their early days when they're young, you see Zendaya's character Tashi first. She's this really driven, and it almost reminded me of Emma Raducanu, the tennis player. She's this driven person that is literally not stopping at all to win and to get to the top. And then she has this accident, and then I was intrigued to see, okay, what does she do now? Does she project her drive into into a relationship with the two of them? Or does she manipulate the guys, or does she lose any hope, or how does she behave from here on? And that's what I felt the film didn't deliver on. I couldn't understand her reasons, you know, after she gets married. You know, she doesn't stay married as in she doesn't stay faithful to the committed, just like she was committed to her career. She's not committed to her family. And then it just went from there downwards, the film. I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Nobody's supposed to be perfect, but it's contradicting to the early days of what she was as a person. That's what I felt. What did you feel?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like she didn't stay true to her mannerisms early on in the film. I'd agree with that. For me, it's quite strange, really. When the film ended, I thought to myself, okay, that wasn't too bad. You know, it had its laughs and what have you, but the more and more I think about it, it just doesn't really add up really with the way the characters behaved. It's not so much it didn't add up, but I didn't feel anything for anyone because they were a little bit unlikable towards the end. Zendaya, she just seemed to be obsessed with success, and that was the only reason she was married to Donaldson. Donaldson himself just seemed to be overly in love with someone who didn't love him and was kind of being treated wrongly for that. So again, not really admirable character, you know. And then obviously we had Patrick, who just seemed to be a little bit of a trouble causer and a sleazebag. And you know, in amongst all this, we've got all three of them being overly sexualized, which again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. For me, it wasn't for me.
Let's remember that she has a child too, doesn't she?
She has a child, so I mean, what's that message we're sending out here? You know, to any young women that might idolise her and stuff. And I know their characters, but I just think if someone's writ this story at the end of the film as well, and I want to know your opinion, Alex, but at the end of the film, when the victor wins, we're not saying who it is. There seems to be a bit of a sprucey, maybe because of the soundtrack, a sprucey, good vibe that the film's giving off. But like, I questioned what has happened in this scenario that is positive, and I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah,
so it was like, am I missing something here, or is that what did you make of it, Alex?
No, yeah, it's the same. It contradicts to what her purpose was, basically. So because she said to her husband, you know, in an earlier scene, she said, you have to win this game or else it's over. And it's like this ultimatum it contradicts what a true professional tennis player is, which is committed and driven and persistent. Even if you've taken that path, you'll do whatever you need to do to get there. And that commitment, she can no longer put in tennis, but she can put in training this guy to get him up there. But then she also, the same commitment you make for a family. And when you tell him just because of a game that she's going to leave the family, including the child and everything, the life and everything, it just goes a bit against being that person that, you know, how are you just dropping off the family life and not committed fully to the family too? And it just felt like, and at the end I was like, hold on a second, is she happy? Is she, you know, this is the ending that it was not supposed to turn to. and it left me a little bit baffled. But by then I had enough, to be honest. I think it was about 45 minutes too long, the film. But what did you think?
Yeah, well, no, I'll agree with you. Maybe I think for me, it's not. Maybe it wasn't too long. It was just maybe the last sequence. Obviously, it all culminated in this huge standoff, this tennis match, which dragged on. And that particular sequence for me was about 4 minutes too long, and I didn't find it enjoyable. And I'm just baffling my head who's the target audience for this film, because you might want to say, oh, is it rom-coms? Is it women who like rom-coms? I don't think it is. I don't think it had the charm of a few of the rom-coms I've seen in my time. But the reviews seem to be up and down about it as well. It's not overly positive.
The big question that we always ask, Baz, is was it worth the ticket price? That's the big question.
Yeah.
Was it worth for you?
Yes, it was. But another big question we ask, and I'll ask you both questions as well. Would you rewatch it? And the answer for me is no. 100% not. I would not rewatch this film. So what about you if I asked you those questions?
Definitely. I mean, definitely worth the ticket price, but not a rewatchable value. It's just to see, the film has strong acting. The film has strong, half of the part of it is good. There's some sexuality there, some questions that they put, some, coming of age type of story in the first 50 minutes of the film. So that is worth the price of admission. But I wouldn't pay twice for it. I'll just maybe stream it.
I'd agree with that. I think there's a few things they could have tweaked with this film. Maybe if they made the characters a bit more, maybe even a bit more loving towards each other, so there's actually something to fight for. But I didn't get it. It was very robotic, I thought.
I hope you enjoyed our review of Challengers, and if you've seen it, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next week, I shall leave you in peace.